He is the epitome of evil. He is a monster.
The message from the widow of a murdered Pulaski County attorney as the man who admitted killing him is sentenced.
After a traffic stop involving a University of Cincinnati police officer turned deadly, WKYT investigates the role that university police have around Kentucky.
A well-known Kentucky radio show host says he's thinking about running for Congress.
Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT News at 6.
Good evening to you. A man who admitted killing a well-known Pulaski County attorney will spend at least 20 years in prison for the crime.
And in court today, the victim's wife called him a monster. This morning, as a judge sentenced Clinton and Abnett for murder, he pled guilty but mentally ill for the shooting death of Mark Stanziano. But some in the courtroom said Stanziano died because the state's mental health system failed. Phil Pendleton has our top story at 6.
It's been a case that by no means was cut and dry. Despite a man charged with murder even admitting to it, the accused wasn't the one getting all the blame in court on Monday.
This case cries as a failure of our mental health system in this state to deal with people like Mr. Abnett, who has a serious mental illness and who should not be allowed to roam free in the street.
Yet that's what attorneys said happened on June 27th of last year when the well-known defense attorney was gunned down outside his Somerset law office.
Which a year and a half before Mr. Abnett committed the thing he's going to get convicted of today, he was dropped from the system.
While attorneys pointed the finger toward Abnett's mental health care, Stanziano's family appealed to the judge for justice.
They're terrified. My daughter's concerned that he'll get out and come look for her mother. Put him away.
The recommended sentence of 20 years for murder, 3 years for wanton endangerment was followed. Yet his attorney said what Abnett really needs is what Kentucky does not have.
This state, this Commonwealth, does not have any type of mental facility set up for the criminally insane.
Abnett's attorney says the irony is that it took him committing a serious crime before Abnett received the treatment that he needed all along. In Pulaski County, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
Abnett was ruled mentally competent to stand trial, but his attorney said had the case gone to trial, the defense would have argued that he was not guilty by reason of insanity.
It surprised many people around Central Kentucky last year. Kentucky Fish and Wildlife officials shot and killed a mountain lion they found in Bourbon County. Since then, they've been trying to figure out where that animal came from. New tonight, we've learned they have closed their investigation. Monique Blair joins us now live from Frankfort with the results. Monique?
Well, Amber, the Department of Fish and Wildlife Resources has closed that investigation because they say they have exhausted all their leads. They say their investigation has determined, though, that the mountain lion killed in Bourbon County last December was not a wild lion and was held captive and then released. Now, last December, a woman called the Department of Fish and Wildlife Resources after her dog had treed a mountain lion. The officer came to the home and after finding the lion up in a tree, fired 3 shots, 2 of which struck the lion. The lion came out of the tree and died shortly thereafter. Now, officials defend their decision to shoot the animal, saying, for one, the closest tranquilizer gun was almost 2 hours away, and since it was almost dark when the lion was spotted, it was a public safety issue. And also because using a tranquilizer wasn't a viable option because they wouldn't have had the correct drugs to subdue the lion, because the drugs that you need are different for each specific animal. Now, officials say there typically would be several instances where people would have spotted this mountain lion, and the department would have known about it well before it actually came into Kentucky. And with this case, that was not the case.
We received no calls, no documentation. The eastern subspecies of mountain lions has been extinct for several years, and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service actually came out and determined that the eastern population of mountain lions are extinct.
Now, although this investigation is closed, the Department of Fish and Wildlife Resources does ask if anyone may know where this mountain lion was prior to last December to call them. Reporting live in Franklin County, Monique Blair, WKYT.
State leaders say it is illegal to keep a mountain lion in Kentucky. Tonight we have an update on the death of a woman whose body was found along Lexington Road over the weekend. Fayette County Coroner's Office says it could be 4 to 6 weeks before final autopsy and toxicology results come back in this case. Police say they found 32-year-old Jennifer Hamilton dead on the side of Leestown Road Saturday night. The coroner's office is treating this as a homicide case because they treat all such cases like that at first. The Lexington police say they have no information that indicates this was a homicide. We're told police and the coroner classify cases differently.
How much authority should university police have off campus? Questions have been raised nationwide after investigators say a University of Cincinnati police officer shot and killed a man during a traffic stop earlier this summer. Investigative reporter Miranda Combs explains how in Kentucky, training and a state law are set up to protect police and you.
The UK, sweetheart. Thank you.
They are new to this place.
One thing.
It's a community of close to 60,000. A campus that by population standards would be considered a big town anywhere else in the state.
We have enough responsibility just to take care of our campus.
University of Kentucky Police Chief Joe Monroe has a force of 59 officers. His officers have jurisdiction on any property owned, leased, or controlled by UK, and any adjacent streets and those that run through the campus. That's the rules in Kentucky. A university outside Kentucky could be different. In Cincinnati, University police were patrolling outside the campus when Sam Dubose was shot and killed by former University officer Ray Tenzing. The controversial killing prompted UC officials to stop off-campus patrols for a time.
Every university has different areas of jurisdictional responsibility as well as training levels.
For training in Kentucky, Chief Monroe says university officers have the same amount, if not more, than local law enforcement. His department does call for Lexington police when needed, but not because of lack of training.
I think that's one of the big misconceptions when you look around the country is they don't feel like campus police have the training level that most jurisdictional local law enforcement does.
University officers are often thought of as second-class citizens, as rent-the-cops as not being the real thing, and that just simply is not true.
Tom Fitzgerald would know. He spent his entire law enforcement career as a university officer and now is a staff attorney with the Department of Criminal Justice Training.
The trend is for professionalism within university law enforcement agencies.
Fitzgerald says in Kentucky, university police were created by state statute. The law was recently changed from calling them safety and security officers to university police officers.
The significance was to recognize, to call the officers and the agencies what they really are.
And what they are officers charged with protecting thousands of young adults on their own for the first time. Chief Monroe talked about the importance of partnerships with local law enforcement. For example, UK police are also over any property in the state owned by the university. In those instances, he says they rely on public safety partners in those areas to assist when needed. Miranda Combs, WKYT.
Chief Monroe says he asked Lexington police for help on a case-by-case basis.
New tonight, federal investigators say a fuel problem may have played a role in a small plane crash that injured 4 people in Scott County. The National Transportation Safety Board released its preliminary findings into the crash at the Georgetown Scott County Airport August 1st. Investigators say the plane flew from Canada to Minnesota to Dayton, Ohio, and was on its final leg to Somerset. They say the plane did not refuel in Dayton. They say the pilot noticed a fuel light turned on during the flight, and then the right engine lost power. The plane was trying to make an emergency landing in Georgetown when it crashed there.
The Science Hill School Board had an emergency meeting late this afternoon to discuss controversial pictures of the school district's superintendent. Rick Walker says pictures of him in a bathtub surrounded by the band One Direction were taken to help his daughter in a contest. The pictures were posted on social media, but some parents say the pictures are inappropriate. During today's meeting, the school board concluded that this issue is over and they will not take any action against Walker. We'll have more tonight at 11.
You couldn't ask for much better weather out there today. It certainly doesn't feel like summer at all outside. Meteorologist Jim Caldwell has an early look at your forecast. Jim.
It has been absolutely wonderful out there today, especially with temperatures running in the mid and upper 70s. Out there right now, we're looking at nothing but beautiful blue skies as we look toward the Hamburg area here. And you've got Winchester Road also, a few cars just buzzing along there as the evening is starting to really kick in for folks. temperatures across Kentucky running in the 70s, as I mentioned. You look up to Frankfort, 76 degrees, down into southern and eastern Kentucky, where it's been slightly warmer through most of the day today. Now getting on the same page as the rest of us with 77 in Somerset, 79 in London. So you're starting to see some of that cooler, more comfortable air settle in. And it might even be cooler as we progress into the day tomorrow, as temperatures will really take a hit with that air mass really taking over. As soon as the sun really starts to set, we'll really see temperatures drop into the low 70s. By 9 o'clock, we're in the mid 60s. A very nice evening, nice night. And then at 11 o'clock, 57 degrees. That's just setting us up for the potential of low 50s and maybe even a few upper 40s out there. We'll take a closer look at all of that coming up in just a few minutes.
Jim, thank you. His radio show is well known throughout the Big Blue Nation, but Kentucky sports radio host Matt Jones may be trading sports for politics.
This morning, he told his listeners that he is thinking about running for the 6th District congressional seat next year. New at 6, Sean Moody talks to Matt Jones about that possibility.
Matt Jones told me he hopes to come to a decision on this before basketball season tips off here at Rupp Arena. He says if he does decide to enter the race, he thinks he can win. Jones said this began with a call out of the blue from the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee in May. He says they asked him to consider running against Republican Representative Andy Barr in the next cycle.
I was surprised.
Jones says he's always had an interest in politics, and he thinks they're looking for a different kind of candidate.
Donald Trump is an example of that, but it even goes back to when Arnold Schwarzenegger won, when Al Franken won. I think there's a difference. People do sort of want a different type of person.
Jones is still weighing his options. He says if he does decide to run, it'll be on his terms.
They sort of tell you have to run against the incumbent. Well, I'm not going to do that. You know, I've got enough name recognition. I can run about me, and that's what I'll do if I do it.
A spokesperson for Barr said today that the congressman is a big fan of KSR, but that the DCCC is confusing politics with Kentucky athletics. Jones says he has nothing against Barr, but thinks he could win if he runs, but that's still a big if.
Well, I've got a good gig. I mean, I enjoy what I do on a daily basis. I have a business that I built from nothing to get to here, and that's a tough thing to walk away from.
Jones also told me that he plans to move back here to Lexington later in the summer, regardless of whether or not he chooses to enter the race. The only requirement is that you live within the state, not necessarily the district that you would represent. In Lexington, Sean Moody, WKYT.
Jones says that if he decides to run, he wants to continue doing his radio show in any way he can.
With the latest news on WKYT.com, join the conversation on Twitter and become a part of the WKYT Facebook family.
New tonight, state health leaders say they are aware of a case of Legionnaire's disease in southern Kentucky.
As we first told you Friday night, Chris Gilbert's family told us he was diagnosed with the disease after being taken to St. Joseph Hospital in London. They're not sure how he contracted it, but the Cabinet for Health and Family Services says this is not considered to be a public health risk. State leaders say no other cases of Legionnaire's disease have been reported.
If you drive along Leestown Road in Lexington, here's something you'll need to get used to. This morning, crews turned on a new traffic signal on Leestown at the Citation Boulevard intersection. The light had been flashing yellow in recent weeks, but it is now in full operation. Construction crews are still working in that area to widen Leestown Road. Nearby Trailwood Drive also reopened this morning.